once they get the notification, right? And that's just how it works. Welcome back, everyone, to another live stream. Today we have Tim and Jorn from the Unpluq team. They're going to be sharing with us a little bit more about what has taken them on this journey of digital minimalism and creating a product. A product I have here. This is the Unpluq Key, and what it allows you to do is to reduce your screen time by choosing to unplug, right? That's the name of the company. But they have come up with a new product, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Tim and Jorn, please introduce yourselves so that the audience can know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, thanks, Jose. So my name is Tim, one of the co-founders of Unpluq, and really excited to be live with on this YouTube stream. We've heard already a lot of the comments and saw your reactions on the videos that Jose made earlier about Unpluq, and it's great to see. And excited to share some new steps that we're working on right now. So let's dive into it.
Yeah, so really nice to be here as well. So my name is Jorn. I'm the other co-founder of Unpluq. At Unpluq, I write the software. And Tim is doing the hardware. Our backgrounds, maybe it's also nice for people to know, are in industrial design and computer science. We're both from the Netherlands. Also super excited for today.
So the Unpluq Launcher is, as of right now, it's essentially a key that you plug into your device. And when you plug this in, you have access to normal mode. So everything that, is just available for everyone, and apps, whatever, all the beautiful things that smartphones do. But whenever you take this out from your smartphone, which is USB-C right now, then you get restricted mode, which is essentially the Unpluq Launcher. You get no colors. You can choose to change a couple of things here and there. But what is the new advancement that you guys are putting out there starting this week?
Yeah, so actually this week we're going live with our beta version of Unpluq Free. So right now we have the key and the hardware key. That's really a limitation to making it available to a lot of people worldwide right now because of shipment times and logistics and all of that. So this free version of Unpluq is basically the same kind of version as the Unpluq Launcher, only the main difference is you don't need the hardware key, but you have other barriers that that block you from using distracting apps. So, for example, we have a barrier which is shaking your phone for like 3 seconds, and some other barriers as well. So in that way, we're really trying to sort of mimic the effect, because the hardware key is really working well, and mimic that effect with software only.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe we could quickly show both of the versions to the audience, and then it's good for them to understand. So I have the current Unpluq Key product on my phone with the Unpluq Launcher. So right here you can see my phone is kind of black and white mode, and you can't see any distracting apps. When I would plug in the key in my phone, you'll see distracting apps appearing, and you'll be able to access them. So for example, if I would have WhatsApp open now and I would remove the key from my phone like this, you'll see it gets blocked and you can't access it anymore. And as a user, you can of course choose these apps yourself. And there are some more features that are in there. For example, there's an overview of statistics. It shows how much time you've spent on your phone today, but also the amount of time that you, for example, spent with the key plugged in. So you can kind of see how much time you've spent on distracting apps. And maybe Jorn can show the beta version with the new software barriers.
Yeah. So in the beta version, it basically works in the same way. So it's still the Unpluq app, and only the difference is you'll now see a button here which says set to full mode. So now if I open WhatsApp and I click set to full mode, this is hard to mirror this like this. I have the shaking barrier. So now I have to shake my phone for a couple of seconds, and you see the bar running, and then it's unlocked. And now you can say yourself, like, when you want it to go back to focus mode again. Because for me, I like it that when I lock my phone and then I unlock it again, then it's back to, I can show you, then it will be set back to focus mode. But some other people want to have a timer for that. So for example, say like I want 15 minutes of full mode, and after that I want to have a restricted mode again.
So it seems to me that you're trying to incorporate the different kind of like environments. Of course, not everything in here is going to be perfect, because of course, software and hardware, they have their limitations. For example, I will display, I have a OnePlus. Yes, this is hard, especially with 3. And with OnePlus, you have to activate an extra setting whenever I do the key with it, right? Like, so there's always limitations that you guys have. But why go the software route? Why are you choosing now to, go in software? Is it because, products like this is difficult to produce nowadays because of the shortage and everything that is happening? So what's going on? Why are you pivoting? Or is it just going to be a parallel line? Is it just going to be software from now on, or is it going to be both?
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically what we are very interested in is what the results of this are. We also don't know, but from our initial interviews, why we started Unpluq, we found that for actually most of the millennials, the current software solutions were just too easy to circumvent. It's just a couple of clicks and you're out of them again. So that was the problem we were trying to solve with the Unpluq Key, with the physical key, because it makes usage way more conscious, and your default phone is a phone without distractions. But then we started thinking after a while, because basically what we're creating is an extra barrier to access distracting apps. And we're very curious to see if it's also possible to save as much time as we're saving people with the Unpluq Key, with just software, where we still create a barrier. And of course, smartphone usage is really personal. So for some people, the barrier might be you have different difficulty levels. So some people might set the barrier really high, some people might set it lower. So you can adjust it and personalize it. And then we want to see whether we actually save as much smartphone screen time with the free version as we do with the Unpluq Key. And then based on that, we want to see, do we want to keep the key? Because we're not saying we're just going to get rid of the key, because the key is working really well. But we're just curious, and we want to see which of these different options work best for people, and maybe it's even a combination of the two.
Yeah, so that's also why we're really excited to launch the beta. Like we launched it yesterday, and we would like to ask all the viewers as well if they're interested to try it out. Maybe Jose, you can send the link for them to sign up in the chat. So we were just really excited to hear the feedback from users like you that are willing to help us test out the product and help find out if they can reduce their screen time as well with Unpluq. And like mentioned before, this is still a beta. We're constantly trying to improve, and we're looking for a lot of feedback from users to make it better as well.
Absolutely. I'll put the links in the description and also in the chat. If I'll put it if you don't beat me to it. But essentially, it's really good, and it's amazing to see that you guys are trying to meet the needs for different people. I understand also that because of hardware limitations, there are some Samsung phones that do not have access to the key as of right now. But this will, kind of crush that barrier. You'll be able to just go through that barrier and be able to use the Unpluq Launcher. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the findings, right? You started this back 2 years now, I think. Is it a year and a half? Has it been since you started funding the Kickstarter or Indiegogo, whichever crowdfunded I remember you guys used? And so why is it necessary to, I think we all recognize that it's good to spend a little bit less time online, right? But why not just, for example, buy a dumb phone, right? Like, that's what my channel focuses on, digital minimalism. What's the difference? What are the use cases for an Unpluq Key or the Unpluq Launcher?
Yeah, very different. Tim, you want to answer that?
Oh, you go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I want to say like very different use cases. So there, like I said, like smartphone usage is so personal for so many people. So there might be some people that just want to use a dumb phone, and that's also beautiful and really nice. But for example, for us personally, and also for a lot of people we talk to, the advantage of certain apps like Google Maps, Spotify, and for a lot of people, even some social media apps, but at the right times, is just really nice. And for example, we hear from a lot of people that they are fine with scrolling on Instagram if it's in the evening for like 20 minutes, because then they like it and then it actually adds value to their life. But during work or studying, it's just really distracting for them. So for us, it's not about like making it binary, like just have either none of these apps or have all of them, but really finding a balance in how to use those apps consciously and how to, for yourself, decide when you want to use them and how much you want to use them, and not let you, sort of not be used by those apps, but use them.
So we have a question from the audience, and Techno said, does Unplug require the key? I've heard this a little bit, so I thought there was a downloadable version. And what does the key do? Can you guys showcase just really quickly what we showcased a couple of minutes ago? And just like showcasing like, hey, this is how it works without the software, and this is what it works only on the software side of things.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so thanks for the question. And currently, the Unpluq Key is the product that we're selling, and that was the product that we started with. I can show it right here. So you'll see my phone has the Unpluq Key, and there are some distracting apps here. If I would remove the key from my phone, the distracting apps will be blocked. And this is basically the product that we started with, creating a physical barrier for you to access distracting apps. And that's available to buy at this moment. And then next to that, recently we've started developments of a software-only version where we're changing the key to a software barrier that Jorn can show you right now.
Yeah. So this is the second version of Unpluq. So that's with only a software barrier. So I can open the app here, and then it will just go to Unpluq app, but I'm using a different home app. And now I have some apps here. For example, chess for me is a distracting app, but now I can say set it to full mode, and then I will get the software barrier. Am I clicking wrong? Oh, yeah. Then I will get the software barrier, and for me that is shaking my phone. So now if I shake my phone for a couple of seconds, it will go to open the chess app, and then I can set it back. For example, here there's also a widget, so then you can easily toggle between these two. And yeah, that's the software barrier of Unpluq.
So I saw that you block widgets as well. That's a possibility now. I don't have widgets on my home screen, so like I guess I didn't ever try that. So it's also another, or is the widget for the app?
Yeah, that's a widget for the app. Like blocking widgets is not possible. Only blocking the app once you open the app, that is possible.
So there's a lot of different solutions for a lot of different people. Why is Unpluq better than, let's say, freedom.com? That's an application you buy, you install it on your phone, and they're able to create those barriers. Or there's other launchers, minimalist launchers that are out there. What's the uniqueness about Unpluq in comparison to some of the other ones?
Yeah, so for us, it's really about, on the one hand, really understanding a lot of different people and playing into those needs. So, for example, what we were talking about with the customization and personalization of the Unpluq app, like setting different difficulty levels for these barriers. And then what is really unique about Unpluq, both the hardware and the software, are these barriers, because with normal apps it's still just a couple of clicks, and with us, like you, because of these barriers, you're really thinking more consciously about when you want to use those distracting apps, and so those barriers really make it into changing people's habits, basically. And yeah.
Next to that, for example, you mentioned Freedom, and Freedom software allows you to, for example, block apps based on a time schedule, or like for example, you can say, I want to block this distracting apps for the coming hour. And Unpluq's approach is a little bit different in a way. In Unpluq, by default, all distracting apps are not there, and you actually have to make a conscious decision every time to access them. And like Jorn mentioned, we are working to create different kind of barriers, both software, which is, for example, the shaking of your phone, or the hardware, the Unpluq Key, and that's something that not really any other app has done until this.
I find, honestly, to me, Unpluq is probably one of the best and my favorite. Whenever, like, if you use an Android device, it's probably one of the best solutions. It's probably the best solution in my opinion, because you can just, if you really just want to use your phone for like very specific apps, let's say you just want to have like 5 apps, you install those 5 apps, and then you just toss this away, and then you have your perfect phone, like, only the things that you need. But there are other people that may not have a USB-C device, right? May have an iPhone, and they're like, what do I do now? Like, right? There's no Unpluq Key for me. There's no launcher for me because Apple is more restrictive. Do you guys have any plans for that? And for USB, well, now it doesn't matter for the USB, micro USB devices. You can install the software version, right? But what about other devices like this, or plans for maybe a computer app? I think that would be quite neat if you're able to install one of these, or some software that kind of like, blocks or presents some of those barriers.
Yeah, true, definitely. So iPhone version is definitely something we have on the roadmap. For now, we decided we first want to get everything working well on Android. So we're still, for the short term, focused on improving and launching the free version on Android. And then our next step after that would be to start developing an iOS version. And currently we already have a mailing list where you can sign up. It's unplug.com/iPhone, and we'll keep you up to date on any updates regarding the iPhone version. Then next to that, you mentioned developing similar software, for example, for computers, and that's definitely also something we're looking into. Like, we're trying to do it one product at a time. Like, we can't do everything, and we need to focus as well. So we started with Android smartphones because on Android it was a lot easier to create this, and we saw smartphones as one of the biggest distraction factors in our lives personally. So computer version is definitely on the roadmap as well.
I know that.
Also,
go ahead, Jorn.
Yeah, just like a little bit more about the iOS version, so the version for iPhones, because we are gonna launch something for it, but it will not be a launcher because of the restrictions of iOS. It's just not possible. But for example, you mentioned Freedom already, and they do block certain distracting apps through a VPN. So we might also do something similar to them, but then still have our unique way of blocking apps, which is either through a barrier or through a physical product. And then for the physical product, we are actually thinking of switching from the Unpluq Key to an NFC tag, because most current Android phones have an NFC reader, and also iPhones have them. So it would also be supported longer, because most of the new phones will probably get wireless charging. So that is also something that we are thinking about. So
Well, that's quite clever. I mean, let me tell you, that's something that I've never thought about, but I guess it can be useful, right? Like, you just have an NFC tag, you tag it, and it completely changes the way that your phone works. I think that's very good. Now, I would like to shift a little bit more towards like the digital minimalism, or kind of like using your phone mindfully, right? But before, we have one question, and then we'll get into like, why is this necessary? Why can't we just do self-control, and just like, why can I just not power through self-control and do all those things? But we have a question from the audience, and it's, is the key available for all regions or some limited regions only as of right now, the physical product?
Yeah, so the key is available to buy worldwide. We are a young startup based in the Netherlands, so mainly we can promise like 1 or 2 days delivery in the Netherlands. International shipment will take a bit longer depending on the country that you're in, but we do ship products worldwide. Depending on the country, it can take between 2 to 4 weeks. Yeah.
And I did get it in the United States. I've actually ordered multiple ones because I did a giveaway a couple of months ago now, and well, I was able to get it, and my subscribers were also able to get it in different parts of the world. So thank you guys. You guys have done an amazing job, even though it does take a little bit worldwide shipping. But let's turn into the conversation of, hey, why can I not just self-control myself, right? Like, this is my phone. I am the owner of this phone. This phone doesn't own me. There's so much of that online, and there is a point, right? Like, that we have to learn how to, apply some self-control. But why do we need these extra products like the key or the software, or is this only for a subsector of the population?
Yeah, like it would have been so nice, right, if we wouldn't have needed this technology, because if these systems were designed with our well-being in mind, that would have been the case, I think. But the fact is that they are not. Like, I think everyone that's watching this live stream must have seen The Social Dilemma, and there they also make it really clear that these social media companies, for example, just put so much attention and so much money into just keeping you on their platform, and basically mining your attention for money, and that's their whole business model, and you cannot really break that business model, and it's really hard and an unfair fight to compete with your own willpower against those really strong things that they tap into, that are like really basically primal instincts, like really, really core emotions that we all have about connecting with other people, and also just tapping into certain things that are making you like more addicted or more likely to tap on certain buttons. And so even if you don't use any social media, then still you can get distracted easily by other apps, like, for example, news apps, or I don't know, other things like dating apps. People also have trouble with that. And the problem is that you just have these habit loops, which just are there as a user of a smartphone because of all of these applications that try to tap into that. And yeah, these notifications that you get, or seeing an app on your home screen, seeing a new color appear somewhere, seeing an icon popping up, like you have that many notifications in red. Those are all like little details that tap into this human instinct of wanting to put attention there. And then you just fall into basically an unconscious habit loop where you're just using your phone without making a conscious decision to do that. And I think some people have been able to just break away from that all by pure willpower, but it is very hard to do because of all the things that I just mentioned. And it would need an incredible amount of willpower. So what we try to do is make it just a little bit easier for users. And of course, you still need that willpower yourself because you have to start using it. But once you start using it, it's just like to make the fight a little bit easier, so to say. So to make it a little bit of a more equal playing field.
I also think of like the reality that there is just different approaches to the problem, right? Willpower is one. I was actually discussing this with my wife yesterday as we were eating at an Italian restaurant, and she said, like, I know you don't believe in willpower. And I'm like, I do believe in willpower, but I just think it's more efficient to not have access to something than to have to power through it. I mean, you can have and build up your willpower, but you can also deplete it. So if you're all the time, like, fighting against your phone, like, I don't want to use it, I need to close it, it becomes like a frustrating experience. Whereas, like, if you use one of these, right, or the software side of things, or if you just switch to, trusty dumb phone, right? This is the one I'm testing, or I've been testing for like the last week. And you just don't have access to these things, and that's just a little bit easier. Of course, like, you have to realize that not everyone can. There's different use cases. There's different apps that everyone needs. Like you guys say, it's very personal, right? Like, my phone is very personal because I need this one app for my work, or I need this one thing that you don't need, right? But I think it's important to create all of these different approaches, and I think definitely Unpluq, you guys have a good approach, and I've really enjoyed recommending it and using it all throughout. I get a lot of people that ask, hey, how can I have WhatsApp, Spotify, and like all of these different apps? And I'm like, there is no dumb phone that can do that. So I cannot recommend you that yet. Like, maybe one or two can do that. But why didn't you just get one of these, right? If you have an Android phone, get one of these, or now you can sign up for the beta and it's going to be helpful. I'd like to ask on the levels of difficulty, kind of going back to the product again, like, you showcase shaking it, but let's say I'm a user that I'm like, I want to make it really difficult. Like, I want to increase all the difficulty that I can so that it really gets frustrating, and I just want to go back to restricted mode. I don't want to even touch my normal apps. Like, so yeah, tell us, like, what are the increased levels of difficulty that I can do?
Yeah, I can best show you, I think. So these are the three barriers that we have right now. So it's shaking, then it's scrolling for an X amount of meters. So just scroll down, and then all the way at the bottom, there's a button, say set to full mode. And then there's one which is just tapping buttons. And I can set the difficulty here. So for this demonstration, I set them all to difficulty of 1, because then it's fast. But I can actually show you if I put for example, the tapping buttons. Can you see this? If I put the tapping buttons to difficulty 4, and I continue, and I select that barrier, and now if I go back, then I have to tap 15 buttons before I can go into full mode. So that will, for most people, be quite, even if you, I'm now doing it in mirrored view, but that will take a while, So we're also still testing. That's also where the beta is for. We really want to work with people and receive as much feedback as possible. So if it turns out that some people want even higher barriers, then we can always like adjust that. So that's also what we are testing with this beta, is how can we personalize these barriers, and is the lowest barrier not too easy for most people? Is the highest barrier high enough? So yeah.
And how are you planning to get some of this feedback? I mean, we have a couple of people commenting. They're saying like, hey, how does the software work? Number 2, is it going to stay free? That's always a concern, right? Is it going to stay free? And like, you don't, again, just to make it clear, you don't have to purchase this to get the beta. You can just install it on your phone, correct?
Yeah, that's true. So the software, you can install and use without the key. And how we're planning to test it, soon we'll be also launching an online feedback tool where people can suggest different features, for example. And yeah, we're trying to build an active community of users that are willing to join us on the ride to developing this product further. And like now we have these 3 barriers implemented, but we already have quite some ideas of even different ones. Some fun ones that I can maybe share with you is that we thought of, like, what if you would have to physically walk like 10 meters to be able to access distracting apps? We would be able to use your GPS, for example, for that. Or there was other people saying, what if you have to say to your phone, I want to access Facebook now to scroll to your phone and to be able to access them. So it's like we're constantly still figuring out which barriers could work, and if any people testing the beta have new suggestions, then we're always open to hear them as well. And then regarding the question if the version will stay free, our goal is to be able to provide a free version with basic functionality to the users. Currently, you'll, for example, be able to select 2 distracting apps and use like 3 of the barriers for free. And in the next beta version, we'll also be introducing more premium features where, for example, you'll be able to select an unlimited amount of distracting apps. Next to that, you'll be able to create schedules where you can change the distracting apps based on the time and day of the week, for example. And we're also constantly trying to improve this. And lastly, we're implementing there a feature where you can whitelist contacts, so they will be always available to you, even when, for example, the application is blocked. And that's so. The idea is that it's a combination of a free version that has basic functionality that will stay free in combination with a premium model where we'll ask a small fee for.
And the reason we chose to do it like that is that we are really strict on not selling any data of people, because like I know probably everyone knows the saying, if you're not paying for the product, you're the product. And we don't want to go into like that type of business model where we sell users data. So that's why we chose to go for a premium model where the basic functionality one will always stay free and always available for everyone. And then to get extra functionality and premium features, you can just pay a monthly fee. And then we don't have to sell any of the users' data.
Now, of course, Unplug is, of course, you guys haven't probably finalized the details on the payments and things of that nature. I'm one to think, right? Like, this is just my personal reaction to any time that someone mentions subscription. I'm allergic to subscriptions, but I understand that sometimes that's a better method for a lot of people. They feel different. So, when you have the key, are you guys going to maintain this as a possibility? So, like, I keep my phone, I plug it in, I have access to my apps, I plug it out, and like then that's it. Like, or is it going to transition to software only?
No. So actually, we wanna. That's what we try to say. Like, we're not sure whether this software only version will work well. So right now we're just keeping both of them at the same time, and then we'll see how much time we're saving with the software only version. The key version, the Unpluq Key, is saving 70 minutes of smartphone screen time per day on average from our current users. So for example, hypothetically speaking, if the software only version would save, for example, 40 minutes a day, then it would still be nice to still be able to also offer the Unpluq Key as like an addition to that to help even better. But you could already achieve a lot with the software only version. So we are actually thinking of keeping them in parallel. But yeah, the tests and the data have to show us what that decision is going to be.
Alrighty. Let's get into kind of like the final section of our conversation, just to kind of talk a little bit more about Unpluq and like path forward, but also, like, how can the community contribute? Signing up, giving feedback, that's always a good thing. But what are some of these benefits, right? Like, maybe that you have experienced or that you have heard people experience, maybe related to mental health, maybe related to productivity. What are some of those things that you guys have seen and that you're hoping to, continue to have? And then we have one question as of right now on the queue. And again, for all of those of you watching, if you have any questions, make sure to put them in the comments in the chat.
Yeah. So we get actually, I think, like one email per week saying from someone saying like, oh, this saved me so much time. And it's always different where it helped them. For example, for some people, it helps them sleep better because they were scrolling on their phone before going to bed, and now they weren't doing that anymore with Unpluq. Also, for some people, it's just like during work or during studying, it just saves them a lot of time. So then for them, it's about productivity. And yeah, just I think if I'm talking for myself personally, I just noticed that I'm like clearer in my head. So it's like there are not these constant distraction streams that just distract me from what I'm doing from this minute to this minute. And like every time you always have this distraction, that's just gone. And that just clears up so much mental space for me. And that makes me really, just a lot more at ease, I would say, during the day when I'm awake.
Yeah. I could also add for me personally, for example, like mentioned before already, we started to work on this product because we were distracted by our smartphones a lot ourselves. So for me personally, for example, I used to scroll as well a lot before I went to sleep. Like I would scroll maybe on Reddit for half an hour and then realize, oh, what am I doing? Actually, I should go to sleep. And because of using Unpluq, that doesn't happen anymore. And it just gives you a better rested feeling when you wake up the next day. And in a way, Unpluq really helps you to change your habits. Because you start using it also, you'll feel less urge to use distracting apps. But still, sometimes I like scrolling on Reddit and there is fun content on there. So sometimes I just plug in my key and watch some funny videos or read interesting things on there. So it's really something to help people become more conscious about their usage. And that's also what we've heard from most of the testers, that, for example, somebody said like, okay, then all of a sudden I had my phone in my hand again. I was looking at it and I realized the key was in another room. And then I realized, actually, I didn't even need my phone at this moment, so I continued working. So it's these moments exactly that we want to trigger in people, where they unconsciously take their phone out to start scrolling, but then realize actually that they didn't even want to do that. And that's especially how Unpluq works and what it helps you with.
We have one more question, and then I'll give you guys a final word, whatever you guys want to say, address the community. The question is it possible if you can create a normal USB Type-C connector as a trigger to see distracting apps instead of the key? Through this, Unpluq can have a larger base, so something like a charger or something that just, connects to a, it's just a question from the audience.
So in the current software version, actually, it is possible to as well use your charger as a mode of activating normal mode. So in the Unpluq phone, it is possible in the Unpluq Launcher. And we might as well introduce this in the beta version. We're not entirely sure about that yet. That could be an option we're introducing there as well.
And I mean, that could also be part of the premium features, right? Like, if you want your charging to also trigger that, because some people may be charging and doing something else, that is definitely possible. But thank you, for addressing the questions from the community. I'll give you guys a final word, and if there's no more questions, then we'll just, close the broadcast. And thanks everyone for watching today. And make sure to check out in the chat of course, the links for the Unpluq Key, but also for the Unpluq beta for the launcher. So go ahead, Tim. Go ahead, Jorn. Give us your final words.
Yeah, thanks again for having us, Jose. It was really fun talking to you, and it's great to see that you're also creating this YouTube channel and community to gather research and show the different solutions that are out there for people to get started with digital minimalism. And we're really excited to see how your community is growing, and maybe we'll be on sometime in the future showing an update or something new. So thanks for having us. And to the community, please take a look at the beta website. It's unplug.com/beta, and there you can test it for free. Next to that, I think Jose, I've shared before with you a discount code as well for 15% off for people that can buy the Unpluq Key as well if they want.
Absolutely. Use my code. It's the only code that you're supposed to use in their website. I'll put it in the comments as well so that people can get it. But Jorn, tell us your final word, and then we'll close this broadcast. Thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah, I just want to say super nice to be here, and it's great what you are making with this YouTube channel, and also really nice to see that so many people actually joined the live stream and are asking questions and are involved. Like, you clearly already have like a community around digital well-being and digital mindfulness and minimalism. So that is super nice to see. So also super excited if the viewers from today sign up to hear what they think about the Unpluq beta and to hear their feedback. So if you sign up, we'll definitely send you some emails about it. So it would be super helpful if you can just say suggestions or things that you didn't like necessarily, or things that we could improve, so we can constantly improve the product for you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for everything. If you were late, I know I see some of the comments like, I'm late. Like, it's okay, Aquila, it's fine. You can watch this. You can, it'll process in a couple of minutes, and then you'll be able to watch it all. Make sure to share it with a friend. And, if you're interested in Unpluq, the Unpluq Key or the Unpluq Launcher, make sure to hit the links in the chat. I'll put it also in the comments who are rewatching. Thanks for this session, and thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next broadcast, the next live, and a couple of the next videos that are coming up. Thanks a bunch.
All right. Goodbye. Thanks.